Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the HMA Consulting CEO Spotlight series. This series highlights leaders who are creating meaningful impact within their organizations while investing in the growth and development of their people. Just to get us started, could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your organization and the mission that drives you to do work every day?
Sure. Thanks for having me. My name's Couldridge. I am the executive director for the ARC of Cumberland and Perry counties, or CPARC, better known as. We are here in South Central Pennsylvania, and our organization provides home and community-based services throughout the Central Pennsylvania area. Everything from residential, employment, day programs, and advocacy is at the core of who we are. What drives my work to do this is I'm also a parent. I have a 26-year-old son with autism. He's nonverbal. He is home with my husband, and like so many families face in this work, I'm not above that just because I'm an executive director.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. What was the specific challenge or opportunity or organizational goal that led you to bring HMA into your work with your team?
Well, I have to say, first, I was really inspired because I saw Dr. Hassan speak at a national convention, and he has so much energy and passion for this field. And what he said resonated with me so much. I thought, I've got to bring this to our organization. Organizational challenge. As a leader, I want to feel connected to my front line. Also personally motivated. Someday my children's hands will solely be in the lives of direct support professionals. And we have really great, compassionate staff here. But we also know that there's, that disconnect from upper management to frontline. Dr. Hassan does a great bridge, I think, of being able to connect staff. We've had him come and speak about personal accountability in the workplace, getting along with your team members, the typical challenges that we hear about, but I think his presentation had just so much more impact and meaning.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I also met him for the first time at a workshop for SHRM, and I also was like, I gotta figure out some way to work with this guy. Yeah. Sure. All right. On to our next question. So for leaders who may not be familiar with the process, what was the experience like? What did the training or the workshop that he did look like in practice?
Oh my gosh, it was everything and so much more. Just at the beginning, just working with Dr. Sana and his team, they really talk to me first about what's going on specific at your organization so we can tailor our training to the specific needs. And so he took the time to listen. He asked me some more probing questions. I took that back to my leadership team. We discussed it some more. We took it back. And he was really able to create some customized training for staff. And I think the best part and one of the dynamic pieces of what he does is, I call it multimodal. You can tell he is a teacher. He's engaging. He uses video content. He uses questions. He uses role playing. He uses he validates everybody when they participate. So it was highly interactive. And I would say of all the trainings we've held here at our organization, his by far get the highest compliments, highest feedback about how much it was enjoyed.
Yeah, he definitely makes an effort to make those workshops enjoyable for everybody. Just to touch on like the impact of those workshops. So following that engagement, what changes or impact did you observe within your employees, your leadership team, or your organization as a whole?
Well, I'll go down the accountability. So we did one about accountability and what does accountability look like? And that sometimes even includes, giving peer-to-peer feedback, which I think is hard for people. But he gave some examples that I actually know were implemented by other staff. And I'll use a simple example of a staff being chronically 10 minutes late. And while it was addressed, one of the tactics he suggested is have that staff lead a team meeting on why coming to work on time is important. Um, so that was, I can say that did actually happen. And I will say the peers that were frustrated with their peer that was late, they had just a really heart to heart, like important conversation. It wasn't anything that was like confrontational, which I think maybe, people are human and they get pent up frustration. But some of the takeaways from that training really help them be able to problem solve at their level instead of it being something that has to go up and beyond, to management level having to deal with.
Mm, yes, definitely, definitely. That was so interesting that they presented in that way, for sure. You mentioned earlier that amongst all of the workshops that you guys have done at your organization, Dr. Hassan's workshop with HMA received higher feedback than others may have. So you've likely worked with a variety of consultants and training providers throughout your own careers. So in your own words, what makes HMA's approach or methodology a little different?
I definitely have to say it's like the high energy approach, especially bringing it to the whole organization. There's so much training in this field that goes on that's required, and sometimes it's required annually, and it's the same trainings over and over. Dr. Hassan again hits it. We're able to go outside of the day-to-day training. We're able to spend some more, specific time with him in workshops. So it is highly interactive. He has staff working with each other. I attend, which I really am grateful for his compliment, the fact that I attend as executive director, because I want to see what's going on. I want to be engaging with my staff. But his training by far, interactive, high energy. Every single person at some point in the training will participate in some way, shape, or form. That is not something that I have seen in other trainings.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And just the last question to wrap up on the HMA side of things, and we'll get into two more questions about you, Anne. So if another CEO or a senior leader were considering partnering with HMA Consulting, what would you tell them?
I would definitely tell him you will get the most for your money out of a Dr. Hassan training. There will be lasting impact. There will be lessons learned from staff. I think even as the leader of your organization, you'll hear feedback or thoughts that staff are having during his presentation among the training that you'll take back and reflect on as well on how to make your organization stronger.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So a little bit more about you. So as a leader yourself, you've undoubtedly learned many lessons throughout your journey. What's one piece of advice you would offer to emerging leaders in your industry?
The power of self-awareness. How you present yourself in your day. I think as leaders, we all in 10 minutes, something can go from really great to something that requires your full attention, but how you show up for your staff day to day, and how, even the most stressful things impact you, can impact the work. I also don't have all the answers, and I'm never afraid to say that. I'm very confident in my ability to figure out the answer, but I think sometimes when I see new leaders, they think that they should know everything, and I will also say, I believe your team also looks to you, expecting you to have all the answers. But it's okay to say, I don't know, but I'll figure it out. And that's what you have a team for.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I definitely agree. I definitely haven't been a leader on the scale as you have, but that idea of making sure that even if you don't know the answer, you're willing to go out of your way to find the answer is definitely so important. So as we wrap up, What's next for your organization, and how does investing in your people factor into that vision for the future?
Oh my gosh, it's a great question. So timely. So something I did last year that is growing is I formed something called the Frontline Leadership Council. So that has frontline staff from each division of our organization. We meet representative, I call them ambassadors to their division. We meet monthly. We do some leadership exercises, activities. We talk about leadership and how you show up at work. But they also come to me with those burning hot questions that staff have, but might be afraid to come and ask the executive director. And it's everything from like, how do we point out jobs and wage structures to questions about our evaluation tools. I mean, but it's a great to have these dialogue, intimate dialogue with staff, explaining, some of the why, because why is very important, the why we do things the way we do things. And then it's also opportunity for me to hear what's frustrating, in the trenches, so that we can make some positive changes here. We've just worked on establishing a quarterly staff award that is chosen by the peers, not chosen by leadership. It is chosen among this group. So they've helped me establish a rubric and the parameters of the actual award and the nomination process. And so starting July 1, this is gonna be implemented here at work. The other thing we're working on in the new fiscal year is working with the community colleges to help grow our next level leadership. In this work, a lot of what we do requires high school diploma, a GED, and we need more DSPs. We know it's a chronically understaffed field, but I see pockets of leadership everywhere, and to move through the ranks will require, sometimes by state regulation, will require college degrees. So how do we grow our next level leaders, so that someday when I'm not here, I can walk away knowing that I've built a bench and the organization is left in good hands.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So much of that answer was so inspiring, and definitely it's an industry that needs more caring people in it. And especially that one bit you mentioned about the award. I think oftentimes those, recognition awards are often given or recognized by other leaders, but the leaders oftentimes aren't the ones interacting with the employees in their environment. And so having the employees nominate someone is definitely super, super cool. All right, Anne, thank you so much for sharing your experiences, your insight, and leadership journey with us today. For everyone watching, thank you for joining us for another HMA CEO Spotlight interview. Stay tuned as we continue highlighting leaders who are making a difference through people-centered leadership, innovation, and impact. Anne, any last thoughts, notes, anything?
No, just thank you for letting me be a part of this, and I encourage everyone to work with HMA.
Thank you so much. Until next time, thank you guys for watching.